Welcome to a new episode of Positive Vibes Maybe, PVM the Talk Show. I'm one half of the dynamic team. I go by the name of Dante Dash Smith. And tonight we're going to unpack one of the most delicate subjects we ever broached here on PVM. We're discussing death. So we're going to go into death about death. So, guys, it's going to be educational in a lot of ways, so be sure to, chap in and, share what y'all can about this episode. So, to anyone entering the room, how's the vibes? What's the energy? How y'all feeling on this Wednesday evening? If you're like me, you're probably tired, ready for this weekend to get here so you can really relax and unwind. Man, when I tell you I am so looking forward to this weekend, there has never been anyone looking forward to a weekend as much as I'm looking forward to it. I mean, when I tell you I need sleep ASAP. So, that was partly the reason of why today's topic was brought to you by. And speaking of today's topic, I'm going to actually post up today's topic. So I'm just going to write, death up in there, and that's just leading you guys to know that that's what we will be talking about tonight. So, tonight is also special because we have one of the new faces of the Wednesday nights joining us tonight too, Juice Hall, So, guys, showing some love, welcome to him to the PVM family like you have treated me, Jetty, and myself for these past few years. And, let's do this thing. And, I say that as I get quiet, like, as I finish typing, like, ridiculous. I'm a fool at times. Let's see. And with that said, I'm actually, Juice is actually up in here already. That's good. I'm going to send you the request. Yes. All right, guys. So, as I'm bringing Juice up in here.
Yo.
Oh, yeah, this is perfect.
I'm good, bro. How are you?
How you feeling? I'm chilling. It's been a good Wednesday. It started
This
being
week
so
was
rainy,
crazy, man. I'm not against this type of weather, but it just keeps you down. Like, my energy been off. Like, I want to sleep and relax, And then I think tomorrow it breaks when we get some sunshine. So we'll see how it goes.
I've been rooting for some sunshine. I was hoping today would be that day. Like, between, like, my job is like super cold, so it's like going from cold and rainy outside to a whole blizzard
like
inside. Just like
bodysuit
I'm not thinking
being in the freezer or the cool room.
Yeah, but it'll work much after a while, After a while,
cold outside. But for now, that transition from like cold to not too cold to trash outside, that's awful.
Yes. Ooh, that's my morning. That's my morning struggle every morning. Like I leave as soon as I get out the car. I'm just like, the last couple of days has been like, sitting in the car, seeing the rainfall. It's just like,
how much
do I really need this money today?
So, did you mention the podcast that okay,
that it came from? No. I'm actually introduced it on, like now since we kind of just broke the ice. Well, so guys, yes, Juice, the new face of Wednesday evenings, guys. Get used to him as well as Kima. She is the female voice of PVM. Like they'll be joining us. Yeah, gonna be covering for Wednesdays because, Jetty won't be with us on Wednesdays anymore. For anyone who missed last Sunday's episode, he announced it last Sunday. He welcomed in a beautiful little baby girl, and with that addition to his life, obviously, she requires a lot of attention. Yeah.
That's what we all
Yes, So he will be with us every Sunday, though. He will be with us every Sunday. But, Wednesdays no more, But it's good. It's good. It opens up an opportunity for you, for Kima,
For you,
new voices to be heard, new experience, perspective. Yes, me to step out even more.
yeah, man, it's a great
Like
chance to, yeah,
it
it's a great
inspires
chance
all
to
of us to
shine your
grow.
light in a new way.
Yeah, that's kind of how I embrace this whole change. Like I'm stepping out of my comfort zone.
Oh,
I'm
man,
have to
change my
doing
angle up
more.
and you better
I'm have to
light.
be a vocal
Yeah.
more. I was liking the
Oh,
aesthetics
yeah.
of the picture in
A
the
little artwork.
background, though.
Shout
Like,
out to the big bro.
oh yeah, I
Big
know. I
facts.
like that. You see, I got the paint right
Yeah.
here. Like, I gotta
Oh, I
add
forgot to
more.
bring my
Like,
hoodie. I'm tripping. I do it. All right, bet.
go do your thing.
Got a little
Go do
walk.
your thing.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
just talk about the episode and what led to the topic. So, guys, the reason for this topic mostly was I was actually listening to a podcast by Angie Martinez where she was actually talking about the subject itself, death. And in the matter of death, she's asking like a lot of questions as to like why don't we get ready for death? Why do we wait until someone dies to fully embrace living our lives? And within all the questions she was asking, it dawned on me. And honestly, it's a conversation I wanted to have for a while, but it's always been a conversation of like, words bring great power, and speaking about it, I didn't want to, bring it upon myself. So it's always been a little. I want to discuss it, but at the same time, I don't want to discuss it. But when I was listening to the interview, they was kind of giving me reasons as to why I
Just
should
push
at
off some
least
jet stuff.
discuss it, and get it out of the open.
Let the big bro be
Hey!
right here, you know what I'm saying? You
I
know,
love it. I love it.
sorry to interrupt to the monologue. Back to the topic of death itself.
Oh no, you're perfect. You're perfect. But yeah, that was the main reasoning behind the topic for tonight, guys. Like I was inspired by another podcast, and they just wanted to broach the subject and bring it to PVM. Especially like a lot of the questions they had within there, because either the questions they was asking, I started asking myself different questions. And like different things started coming to fruition. And I know I know for a fact that everyone that moderates the PVM, you included, and myself, we've all lost someone extremely close to us
Well,
within the last couple years. So I figure, you know what? Even for those that aren't participating in tonight's episode, they can still tune in, and this could be
yeah,
beneficial
because
for all
this
parties.
is a topic that we don't always address until it's too late. And proper
Yeah.
preparation in any regard of life helps prevent poor performance. And so, even though we don't treat death with the proper importance it has, because it's the end, and for a lot of us, we don't want to think about that, it's the reality that we can't escape. Now, when Dash first approached me about the topic, he sent me the podcast. It's a beautiful conversation between Angie Martinez and Lauren London. Some of you might have seen it before, some of you might not have. You should definitely check it out, because like he said, more than anything, their conversation sparks an internal conversation. A lot of things they talked about when it comes to processing death, the emotions, the energy, just the whole process. It gets you to an introspective space if you've gone through it. It's a topic that'll always resonate with us because of the fact that we've all experienced death in different capacities. And as we get older and we get more responsible and we get more into the ebb and flow of life on a different level, it becomes something we encounter in different ways. You might know a friend who passes away, or they have somebody who goes through it, and you're somewhat detached from it. At the same time, when you go through it as personal, when it's somebody close to you, it's an eye-opening experience. And so I was very intrigued by the podcast, and I very much enjoyed the conversation. And it's between two women who have lived amazing lives, but it still shows the impact of when you lose someone to the inevitable, how that happens and how that changes a person. Because even for me, a lot of stuff that Lauren London mentioned, I hadn't even thought about, but it directly applied to my situation.
Same. Same. that's kind of why the question started for me.
Wait, real fast. What up, Ty?
Honestly, like when she was talking.
That's my sis. You gotta show yourself.
Oh yeah, definitely got to show the family some love. Actually, let me hit this comment since that's up there too. It's by Cheetah Lady. She said
Oh,
it's
background
a
noise.
lot okay background noise and it's echoing again, which means it's possibly your volume level kicking back. The try lowering your volume.
Is that
Okay,
better?
gotcha. How is it now?
We'll wait for T to tell us.
I know it. Yeah, I know, right? Like, I try lowering
Yeah, because
mine
I'm
down
in
too.
the AirPods, so I'm just
I didn't even hear it, But you know what? It could be my portable heater because, guys, it's cold as shit outside. So I did. I tapped out. I was I wasn't one of these macho men trying to
bro.
fight
I
the
told you the
cold
thermal
anymore.
models. I
Like,
wasn't playing with this. Yeah,
yo, it got the best of me. I've been
you
on
sure
thermal.
you
You
got the
see the
hoodie?
long
All right, we
sleeves.
good now. Thank
Like,
you, T. Oh, and I got the thermal underneath the hoodie.
okay. So she says perfect.
Like I ain't playing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was me this morning. I had the thermal underneath this with the hoodie on top and a winter
Oh
coat
yeah.
inside the job, like, and I still was
Yeah.
up in there like with the
It's
bird,
like it
like,
just penetrated.
all
Like my
right.
body hasn't fully adjusted to winter mode. It's still like, nah, bro. It's supposed to be 65. What are you doing? But anyway, back to the actual topic. So, so
Yeah.
go ahead, bro.
So, like I said, it did bring up a lot of questions that like some that I asked myself,
Yeah.
a lot
Yeah.
that I didn't ask myself. And honestly, like, one thing that really jumped out to me was when she talked about the losing of memory, and how, like, going through the grieving process, it was a lot of moments that she forgot and some things that she remembered. And for me, that came up like a lot, especially like when I lost my stepdad. And I remember throughout that initial process of losing him, like, I really had no other male role
That was your
models.
guy.
So I was really just kind of, yeah, I was really kind of just falling on myself. And I really didn't know how much and to the level of what he did and how much it was so important and vital to the family until he died and I had to
You get
step
the
into that
eye
role.
open.
I heard like this one quote. Yeah, I heard this one quote like you never you don't become a man until your father dies, and that really started resonating with me like in the coming months after he died. Like as I started to see like between like had to be in there for my mom, my grandma, my sister, my nephew, myself, like I started like really like feeling like yo damn like I can't believe he was doing all this time like and still like not complaining no nothing because like it was getting the best
It's a
of me
lot.
just
Yeah.
like
But one
I was breaking
thing
down like,
I can say about that too, because I went through a similar experience, and it's like the difference for us is we get thrust into this role that they relatively built themselves into. So it is a different perspective as far as how you go about managing these new things, because at the same time we want to make it seem as simple as possible, but that's not necessarily how these transitions work. And then I don't know what his situation was as far as like your paperwork and all that, if everything was taken care of. That's just like a third of the battle. And then there's the reality of the, yeah, exactly.
nah. We actually had to go through that too. So that was like another question because like when she mentioned the why don't we get ready, that was one question that came to my mind. I was just like, you know what? This has always been something like even in my family, like we don't even bring up death. Like we don't even talk about death until someone dies. It's never really a conversation. I mean, my mom just really kind of got on us really last month where she put my sister and me under her will and started up life insurance. And that was really like the first actual conversation we ever had in the household amongst ourselves. Like I could remember ever having with my mom
And
outside
that's
of
what
like the
happened.
funeral
So
situation.
it's funnier for me because my family, my father's side, is a ministerial family. So the capacity we've always dealt with death has been, funeral services and paying like proper respect, but almost a business like approach. even in the most personal sense. When we would lose family, it was like, all right, go through the checklist, pack up the bag, hit the road, da 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 da, and then we just come back to Philly, and you remember them and you pick up with life. Or if it's in the city, we go to the service, we show love to the family, we do the mini grieving you do because you don't necessarily want to infringe upon somebody's space because it is a sensitive time. But for us, a couple of years ago, my grandmother, my father's mother, my nana, she passed away. And when she passed away, we had all this paperwork to take care of in a good way. But at the same time, it was a reminder to everybody else, like, listen, y'all gotta have y'all paperwork straight too. Now, unfortunately, for my pop, he passed away from brain cancer, which affected, his cognitive ability. And with anything related to the brain, you don't know until it's too late. So when you first notice the signs, it's already past the point of fixable, right? And so because it came along so sudden, his paperwork was all types of scattered. And so we had to go through and do all this stuff. And it's a surreal experience when you're, really looking at your parent from a paperwork perspective. When they're just like a name on the paper and it's like, oh, this is their debts for the month. This is their whatever income. This is the amount expected to go to this and that. This is what they've been doing as far as time and energy to help other people out. So first I gave a great appreciation for the guy he is. And at the same time, I gained a new understanding of all, like you said, all the things he was doing for all these different people. But also because of the circumstances, because you just, I lost my guy, just like you probably felt. There's a part of you where it's like, how do I take the next step to get to whatever is the new future?
Yeah. Or even
Yeah.
figuring out what that new future is. Like, I ain't even gonna hold, like them first couple months, like when everybody is around asking you how you feeling. Like for me, I was feeling numb. Like I was telling people, yeah, like I was like, I don't feel nothing. It wasn't until like everybody stopped being around that the feelings really start to hit me. I was just like, damn, like, you know what, he really out this joint. Like, yo, I really gotta step into this role. Damn, I'm not prepared at all for none of this. Like it was like a lot. Like I really didn't know how much. You know what? His death really showed me how much I was like living in a naive world, like, and how much I was still a child in a sense, as far as like how much he still was, even though I was on my own doing my own thing, he
See,
was
the thing with
still,
that I couldn't call a
yeah,
naive
like,
world because that's what family is for. And we don't always have a lot of people to depend on. But when you do have somebody you depend on, even if it's in a way you don't fully appreciate, because they love you, they care for you, they want the best for you, and he wanted
yeah, I
you to work.
didn't.
When you're in that capacity and you lose somebody, it's even crazier because the attachment, the synergistic life you were living. Because as much as he wanted you to be great, you wanted him to be happy and great too. And it's like it's an interesting dynamic because that change is so subtle in certain ways and stuff we don't even think about. Because I know for myself, outside of the obvious stuff, right? Like you lose your pop, you lose your guy, you lose your mentor, your confidant, all that. You also lose just your homie. And so it's like I can't even give my guy a hug anymore. You know what I'm saying? And it seems so simple, but it's like I appreciate the hugs from my fellas even more because there's somebody who I do want to hug who I can't hug
Yeah,
anymore.
more. Yeah, it's honestly made me more emotionally attentive to like my guys, like as far as like my male friends, my male cousins, my male camaraderies, like because honestly I like one of the things I do regret is like I don't feel like I was affectionate enough or like told him enough how much I appreciated him, and like that was like for me, like that was like the biggest tug. It was like because even, all right, Juice, I'm gonna be real with you, even in his dying day, I always had issues with how that ended because I came to see him that morning, but like I was so in my world, like I didn't really give him too much attention. And like even when he told me, because his death came at a simple checkup, so he went to the doctors for a little checkup, and then from there they told him like, yo, you in stage
Stage 4,
whatever
terminal.
cancer,
Get your affairs in
like
order.
yeah. So like everything kind of just happened fast after that. But even that day, like I just came over, grabbed some tools. I'm in the garage. I just hear him yelling, telling me he going to the hospital. I'm just like, all right, I'll holler at you later. You know, like not giving it a second thought. And then like as things transpire, I'm just like, yo, I should have really made more time. Like said this, said that, and like even in the moments past, it was all like as I thought about our memories, it was just like more so advice he had given me that I ain't really take heed to at the time, but it was
Well,
becoming
that also goes
meaningful to
back
me in the
to
moment.
last time I was on here. We was talking about brotherhood. A big part of that advice thing is like you can hear great advice until it applies to your situation or really resonates with you. It's just there, you know, and that's a part of it too.
Yeah,
Because I know you can agree with this. Your perspective when you go through this changes and you really do open up to everything. And so at that moment, I had the same thing of reflecting and trying to recall all the conversations and all the things he imparted to me. And it helped me navigate certain things. Certain things
yeah,
I wasn't prepared to navigate in that regard because, you know, I lost a parent. And that's at the age we had too, it's different. If my pop would have been over 80, I probably would have felt differently. But he was 63. And the timing of
yeah.
it, right.
Mine
And
was
so, and then the
53.
timing of it was crazy
Yeah,
because I took him to the hospital on November 10th. My mom's birthday is the 11th. So then they're divorced though, so it's separate. But so I call, so I'm letting everybody know what's up. Around Christmas, we get the bad news. Around Thanksgiving, we get the bad news of how severe it is. Around Christmas, we find out that he's getting discharged and we about to do the chemo just to maximize our time. And then a couple months pass where I'm sitting in my grandpa's house. We're just taking care of him, going through our last days. And then his birthday is March 26th. On March 20th, he took a sharp decline. And on the 22nd, like 2:30 in the morning, he passed away. Now, I was staying with him, like I said, at the time we was at my grandpa's house. I was taking care of him. I felt in the weirdest space because that day his breathing got real choppy. And we could tell like, you know, we about to get to that moment. So we had a nurse come out. She gave us a little checkup. She was like, listen, guys, you know, this is that point. So it's like, oh shit, like we here now. So it's like 1:30 in the morning. I'm stressing. I step outside, smoke a J, smoke a port. I come back in and knock on the door to check on him, and it's quiet. And the first thing I start to panic a little bit, but you know, I get my energy right, and I walk in there, and he's gone. So I'm the first person to see him like this. So I go upstairs. I let my uncle know. I'm bugging out a little bit because this is crazy. And then instantly in that moment, I start having all these regrets about like, did he know I loved him? Did he know my voice before he passed away? Like, was it painful or not? How fast did it happen? But at the same time, you can't do anything about that. And that's something I came to realize a little bit afterwards. So going through the whole situation and then going through those next couple of days where the shock spreads, because that's the other part about it too. It really is shocking, right? Like that
yeah.
moment I walked in, it shook me in a way I've never been shook before. You know what I'm saying? I've been in some situations, I didn't seen some car accidents happen. You pull over the side, you're like, oh my God, I didn't seen some weird stuff happen that you're detached from. This was the most, yeah, this was the most
I
personal
still feel the
shock I'd
pain
ever been
from
through
it.
in my life. You know what I'm
Like,
saying? Like this is
yeah. Like I can recall it
exactly,
like it was like
and I'm
yesterday.
not gonna make
Like,
light of it because it is a very emotional thing. But when you compare it to all the things you go through in life, it's just like nothing else really is on that level. And but then, like you said, then you go into this new space where it's like, all right, what do we do? So now we calling family. I'm giving people hugs because they just lost their mans, they lost their uncle, they lost their brother. At the same time, in the back of my head, I'm kind of numbing out to like, all right, this is reality. What's the next step? Because I couldn't dwell on the loss. It was too painful to think about. So I just focused on the next steps of the process. And then in doing that, some beautiful things that start to occur. Next day, we're all at the crib. My uncle's here. I'm here. We just chilling, soaking up his space. We start getting phone calls from the fam. Everybody's asking us, like, what do we do? What's the game plan? Like, we're going to let y'all know. But right now, we just got to let y'all know we all lost our guy. and then you keep it moving. You know what I'm saying? Like I thought about my pop. It's like it's a dude who would get up, go to work, pull a 12, come back, complain, go to sleep. We go pull another 12 the next day because he was getting that money. He was taking care of what he needed to take care of. And you put yourself kind of in his shoes, you know. I know it's not the same level because we processing stuff versus going through the daily grind. But at the same time, it's like it's the new
You can't help but put yourself in
and
their shoes. Like my question was like, did he? Well, for me, it was like asking my step pops was asking myself was did he enjoy life?
yeah,
Like was it just work? You know, like did he really get to enjoy like the fruits of his labor, or did like I become and my sister become a burden on him where he felt like he always had to be
right,
on the grind and on the work? You know, like, and honestly, like it kind of started looking at me. It kind of changed the perspective I was
yeah.
looking at my own life, and like
Because
made
one of
me
the things
start
I
questioning
did
myself.
realize
Like,
is one of the regrets I always have if I didn't do enough to do stuff with him, where it was me taking my guy out and treating him the way he deserved to be treated. Like that's my pop. He would always look out for me. If I was like, "Yo, let's go check a restaurant out," he's like, "Let's go." Like, "Oh, you don't gotta pay. I'll pay." I'm like, "I appreciate it," but I never truly understood the love he showed me until I realized I couldn't show that to him because he's no longer with us. And then at the same time, as crazy as it sounds, I know now I'm his legacy. Me and my brother, we're his legacy. You know what I'm saying? Outside of everybody else who has a memory of him or whatever, we are the closest thing to him, period. And so that shifts your perspective because now I'm looking at the people he loved differently. Because now I'm like, oh, Pop would have taken care of that, but he's not here, so I'll take care of that for you. You need an extra set of hands, you need somebody to listen to. Like, I'm going to come and join y'all because I know on behalf of Pop, this is how it's supposed to go down. But it's still like the unanswerable questions will always linger with me. Like, could we have done more when he was healthy? When exactly was he healthy too? You know what I'm saying? Because it's unfortunately it's like these things go through
yeah,
steps, and it's not on me exactly.
you don't always see
It's
like
only
the decline, like, and then sometimes depending on the person, they won't let you see them in pain. Like
exactly.
they must have through it. Because for me, that's where I kind of started thinking too. Because I was just like, all right, I take so many traits for him, and one of those traits is like the need to feel like I gotta persevere through things alone. So how long was he on his journey before anyone noticed?
Yeah.
Like, yo, he's sick.
And then the
Yo,
other part too, I'm a big fan of just health conscious behavior. And one of the quotes I heard that made me shift my perspective on that is you don't adjust to your new normal, you try to be the best you. And when I thought about my pop, it made sense because there were things like you probably with your pop too, where he would just be like, no, this is the new normal. It's like, no, bro, this is like you work hard enough, you have this insurance. This is looking back now. You have this insurance, you have the time. You need to go to the doctor to get these things checked out. Like, oh, you're not sleeping right after these 3-day weekends where you're working 12s and 16s. You got to go to the doctor, get that checked out because the long term, that's the most important part. We can't assume,
yeah,
especially going through the situations we go through, we can't assume tomorrow is promised and we can only prepare ourselves to
not
get
at
to that
all.
point. Now it's different, right? If you're in like a car crash that's crazy or a plane crash or uh, something falls out the sky on you, you can't prepare for that. But if the reality of it is that it's just declining health that you should have addressed, you got to address it. And then even for you, bro, I don't know what you're going through right now, emotionally or mentally or physically, but I hope you know that you could always talk to me if you want to. You got Jay, you got Chevy, you know what I'm saying? And if you had to go to something and you just didn't want to go by yourself, that's the same thing as the conversation. Like that's what you let the fellas know. Because all we're going to do is take you, make sure you're healthy, and give you jokes. Like,
Yeah, I know. That's like for me, like that's the biggest thing, like just always making sure like I
yes,
remember like I have the circle like that turn to and lean on, and not
yeah,
try to persevere along. Like that's honestly been one of the things I've been kind of trying to tell myself, like throughout the situation, like of losing my pops, because like right after I lost my pops, I lost one of
mm,
my childhood best friends too. Like the next year, so it hit me hard because it's like damn,
Right.
these was my guys. Like if I
Right.
wasn't with one, I was with the other more times than not. So it was just like, and back to back years, and it was just like when I needed to lean on one, he checked out. So it was just
Yeah.
like, all right, I gotta like maneuver and
And I'm
try
glad you
to,
mentioned the
you know.
years part too, because one of the things I've been trying to figure out is like I don't feel like with this type of death, the grieving process is short. And so listening to Lauren London talk about like 3 years before she got to a point of trying to grieve, and then me having talked to other friends who have lost somebody, and like we're all still in the process of, yeah, Betty Boop just said sounds like the year 2003 for me, right? And I like that she's, because that's a memory. That's the other part about the time part. Like I remember specifics in regards to that. Other parts of this year have just been blurred out because of the intensity of that memory. And yeah,
Yeah, I know. Like
yeah,
years are stamped
they
with
they are a
with deaths.
life
Like even
marker. But with that being said, the change afterwards and trying to grieve and trying to grow into the best version of you, because in this sense there is a new normal. We lost someone you can't replace, but at the same time trying to honor their memory and their legacy, and also just trying to be the best version of you for you. You know what I'm saying? Like I want you to be happy. I want to be happy. I want all my fellas to be happy. I want everybody to be happy. But that's a process. And so when we had these events that change the game plan and change the long term, and they don't go away right away, and then for you to go like back to back years where you probably still hadn't even addressed internally how you really felt, and then you lose somebody else.
nah,
Yeah.
I'm still addressing those
And
issues.
then
Like, I ain't even gonna hold you. I haven't. I process them to an extent, but I'm probably I know I'm gonna need
yeah,
therapy at some point. You know, to
yeah,
like go through everybody. But like I know like it's because it's still questions to this day. You know, like and even now I even come around and be feeling guilty, like for instance, like when I can't visit my friend, his mother, like because she doesn't live too far from me. So when I don't get the chance to visit her or like my grandma or people, I start to really feel like it. Like I'm like, damn, like they already not don't got those guys here. And then I'm not even being present, you know, like so it really started hitting with my
I
emotions a
feel you
lot.
on
Like
that.
where
The
I'm like,
weird dynamic with that is time is truly the ultimate currency. And so moving forward, I would implore you to spend more time with them, but don't overburden yourself. Like I'm good for the pop up, get a hug, kiss on the cheek, keep it moving. That's 3 minutes, but those 3 minutes will keep me feeling good until the next day I see you for 3 minutes. So there is family for me who I don't see as much, but then when I think about them, I call them. You at the crib? I'm about to stop by, because I do understand that even though we all live our own lives, and as interconnected as we are, the dynamics aren't always as simple. I know for me, I can control some things. So if you home and I'm gonna come check you out, I'm gonna come check you out. I'm not gonna leave it up to the randomness of life. You know what I'm saying? Like, bro, I know you got a car. I know you got a schedule that's different, right? Let's not get that part twisted. But there's probably like that day and a half that you have to yourself. You could probably squeeze a couple minutes just to go
yeah,
there. And then also at the same time, sometimes it might not be physical. It might just be the phone call. So when I call, like on my mom's side, I'll call my grandma.
yeah.
Yeah,
See, that's what I gotta do.
the phone call makes a
I'll be
difference. So
slacking
like
on
on
the
my
phone
mom's
calls.
side, my grandmom, she lives near Temple. So I'll call her up. Hey, what's up? You good? Yeah, I'm good. Ain't see you in a while. I gotta be over there tomorrow. I go over there. I literally knock on the door. I walk in. I give her a hug and a kiss. My aunt and my cousin. We chill for like 2 minutes. I'll be like, all right, I need to take the trash out or anything. Nope. All right, see y'all later. I'm out the door. I will call my mom later. I'll be like, guess who I saw? She's like, I know my mom. She called me excited. I know. I love her so much. Like that's all that matters. That right there is a perfect experience with her. I don't gotta do anything else. We don't gotta go out to eat. We don't really gotta talk about anything. Like it could just be normal. Hey, my mom, love you. Ain't seen you in a couple days. But that's what matters. That's the time spent. That's the energy. Now, the other reality is she don't do much. So it's not like she's trying to go to the bar. She's not going to do certain things. Like they'll go shopping, but they'll shop for like 4 or 5 hours. I ain't built for that no more.
Yeah, I know, me either. Like, you got to
Yeah,
get two
look,
hours
gotta
in me
keep
and
me
I'm
hot.
done. Yeah.
Yo,
Oh, I stay
on
with the
deck.
snacks in the car.
Shout out
Like,
to Wawa.
that's part of the driving trip.
But that's the reality though. For me though, it means something. And for her, she loves it. So certain things, that's not even the sacrifice. That's the beauty of us having people who love each other and that we love. You got to go.
I know. I definitely got to make that time and definitely squeeze it in because I honestly could. It's really more just a matter of me just getting out my emotions. Because sometimes I'll get to the point where I'll be like, um, well, I'll be just like kind of like emotionally drained because I even think about them like and like the and even like the thought of like just kind of going
Oh,
to
I
his old
understand. It's heavy.
house and it's just like it's not even seeing moms, it's just the thought of
Yeah.
this is where my boy used to live, he should still be alive. Those feelings just start hitting me and it's just like I know I gotta push through it, but at times it do
Yeah.
get
So
hard
two
where it's
things
just
with
like
that.
damn, like
Once again, to go back to the Lauren London and Angie Martinez podcast, one of the things I noticed is my eating got real bad maybe afterwards, and that affected my energy. Now, once I started to get back to eating, as Lauren London called it, higher vibrational foods, less preservatives, more natural, more fruit, and actually getting back into a better circadian rhythm. Because the other thing was I was taking care of him overnight. So even though now my sleep schedule is messed up, and that's probably not going to change for another couple months, it's still closer to something that's normal. Like I'm pretty much on, yeah, I'm
yeah,
like on a
than
late night
before.
shift worker sleep schedule, which still isn't healthy. But before I was on, yeah, but before I was on
Yeah,
vamping,
that's
bro.
rough.
I was giving him his medicine. No, for real. I was giving him his medicine at 10 o'clock, right? So we would do breakfast, blah, blah, blah. I would give him medicine at like 10, and then I would sleep until like 5 in the afternoon. Yeah, wake up, do his medicine again,
Damn.
and then do the rest of the night. So then from 7 till 7, I'm up. So that's, yeah. So that's
Damn.
pain
Yeah,
meds at
that's
night.
rough. That's
So
rough.
if you have a little accident, it's just me just wandering around for like 4 hours in between, waiting to hear something. And then at the same time, because of he had a glioblastoma, which is a very aggressive brain tumor, but it affects a lot of things. So at the same time, like the left side of his body got weak. So I got to help him to the bathroom. I got to do all these things. And I'm grateful that I was able to truly do all this for my father. But at the same time, not even at the same, not no, but at the same time, it's such a weird dynamic to be on that once he passed, I didn't adjust to anything right away. Once I started to get the food back right, and start to eat healthier. Because at the same time, I'm drinking soda at night. You know what I mean? I'm going to Wawa. I'm getting all types of stuff on the regular versus the occasion, like it should be. So like my whole body was messed up. And then you go through something super traumatic and you grieving and your
Yeah.
brain is starting to rewire itself because of the pain. You're like, I don't know what I'm doing.
Oh, I remember I was living off of caffeine
Bro,
and
I was
Newports at
going
one
through
point. Like,
like 5 packs of ports in a week. And I was just and
yeah, you sound like me.
like
I
every
was just
time
throwing
he
them
would
down.
lay
Like,
down and I knew he was about to sleep for a half hour, I'm out back chiefing going. And I'm just like, this is ridiculous. And then even at the same time, I wasn't comfortable. Like I like to smoke bud. I wasn't comfortable getting too fried because of the responsibilities on my plate. So he's got like 7 medicines he has to take regularly. Then he's got these other medicines for anxiety when the pain hits, for suppositories if he gets congested and he can't pass because of all the chemo and everything. So in my head, I'm trying to strategize all this stuff. And it's just like I can barely relax. You know what I'm saying? It's like when I know I'm about to sleep for 4 hours because my uncle there and I don't got to worry about nothing, I hit a little J, stretch out, and try to black the room out. But it's still like, I'm sleeping from 11 in the morning to 3 in the afternoon, then getting up, handle a little stuff and nap. And it's like, what do you
yeah,
do? Now, the other thing too, I wanted to touch on is when you mentioned about going to your homie's crib or the old crib, you got to flip your perspective on that because it's in your head, it's always going to be his crib, but that's not a bad thing. that's just how strong the memory is. Because I'm in my pop's crib, right? Like I go through his stuff. I grab some of his t-shirts and wear them. And for me, they now mean more because these are the remnants of him. Ain't gonna be no new t-shirts coming. You know what I'm saying? He ain't copping no new shoes. It's like
Yeah.
he ain't getting no new stuff to get fly. This is all we got now. So in that regard, you got to cherish physically what you got left because the memories will never fade. You know, even if we get older, for whatever reason, maybe it's the love or the trauma, you'll always be able to snap back to those. But certain parts you got to be selfish about taking for yourself and just internalizing as much as you can. So being in a space where it still feels like they space, that's a great thing because if it didn't feel like they space, that's kind of losing your bro. So you got to,
Yeah.
yeah, it's
No, I
perspective.
know he's still around,
Good.
like I be feeling them. Yeah. Like when she was talking about just feeling the spirit, I was just like, I do feel the spirits because it's times when
You
I'm
know your
moving in
guardian
life
angel taking care of you.
and I can tell, yeah, like I can just tell by certain situations,
Yeah.
I'm just like, yeah, that wasn't just me,
And that's,
and
yeah,
it makes me more appreciative of that too because it's like they're still
always,
watching over me
always going to be
even.
your guys. I don't have a better way to put it. They always going to be your guys on this plane, on the next plane, the physical, the spiritual. They always going to be your guys. That was one quote Lauren said that I really liked about when you have a spiritual relationship with somebody, it isn't physical. So even on the next level, it's still going to exist.
I
Yeah,
know
it
she
was
was going
crazy
there.
to
She
me
was going there.
because
Like
the other thing that I realized with this is you don't appreciate everybody's journey until you have such a pivotal moment that you can share with somebody else. Now, I'm not saying that her losing Nip is the same way as us losing our pops, but the loss is just as important to us. And so when I'm looking at her talk and I'm seeing the strength that she's talking from, I'm like, that's beautiful. Like, that's somebody who's doing the work because she understands, which is the other part about death. It's not easy, but it also doesn't just happen once and it's gone. Yeah, and
yeah,
you
it's
got to
gonna
put the
keep
work in to
happening.
get through it.
And like it's a conversation we all need to
Yeah,
have, like, and be prepared for, like, and kind
oh,
of
definitely.
have your fears in order. Like when she was talking about the need to kind of, like, I actually even like the part where she said like she was open and honest with her kids about it, like the whole process, and like even they got to see like her struggling with it and mastering it, because like that is something like you do. It's beneficial to see like as a youngster, like because I know for me even thinking about my first experiences with death, I didn't really fully understand it to really understand like the magnitude of what was happening at those times until I became much older. And then by that time, like the losses was really hitting me because it was like I wasn't really prepared too much. I hadn't really known too much about death besides the fact that, you know what, people die. And that was pretty much left it. It wasn't like explained to me like how you might feel emotionally, how things might change, how this person no longer being here might affect me or this person, that person, or even the relationships I have
Yeah.
unknowing to me, So,
So
because
for me,
that's
I have a brother. He's older. He has two kids. Now, this whole process, they knew what was going on. They still didn't fully grasp it. My niece, she's a little older. So once things got to that point where, we're counting down the rest of our time, my brother did have a conversation with her. But for my nephew, he's at the age 3, maybe 4, where the concept of the permanence of what happened hasn't fully hit him. And so my mom, because they're
yeah,
down in Miami, she's down there too. My mom will tell me, and my brother will tell me on occasions where my nephew will still bring up Pop in a curious way, and it's an awkward moment because even though we want him to be fully aware of it, it's a more gradual introduction. Because I know for myself, and I don't know if this is how your first experience was. My first non-physical experiences, Lion King when Mufasa dies, right? Heartbreaking. Oh, it rips you out. But it shows you
yeah,
character because it's such a dramatic moment. Him falling down, oh, and then the little, come on, get up, like that. Like I didn't care about Daniel's mom dying. That was never bothered me that. But the Mufasa, I was like, oh my god. But then after that, my next experience was a really old family member who I probably met twice. My family's from the South. So this was, we hopped in the car, we road tripping. And like, it's a funeral, but to me, it's just a sad church service. Then you get older and a couple more happen. And then I remember when I was younger, my great grandmother died. That was the one that hit me like, oh, it's different. And she was, at the time, I was probably like early teens, maybe. She was like 90, I want to say like 95, 96. Like, she was a lady who had lived a great life and a long life. But at the same time, like, that was my great grandma. That was the only great grandma I had. And I used to get away with stuff with her that other people be like, oh, Justin, you tripping. Like, she's a 94-year-old frail woman, and I can give her a hug and pick her up gently. Everybody at my family's like, are you serious? And my great grandma's like, he's fine. That's the one that hits. And then from there, like you said, every subsequent one, it gets realer and realer. And then unfortunately, you get to a point where it's like for us, your pop, where it's like, that's not close to home. That's home. And then when those hit, you just like you had that moment. It's crazy too, because this isn't an exclusive thing. So just like I'm going through it, you went through it. Shout out to Jay. He went through it last year, which was tough for all of us. And I've had other family go through it too. And so now when we see each other, it's a different feeling. So like, as excited as I am for Jay and all the good things going on for him, when I see him, it's still like, how are you? How are you doing on this simple level? And then I also remind him that he's not tall, because there's a rumor going around that some people are telling him he's tall. I'm telling the PVM Nation, Jetty's not tall. No disrespect, Dash never lied to you about his height. Jetty not tall. Don't get it twisted.
We're along the same line.
Like I'm saying, though, you see your men, and you see your fam, you see your people, you know they went through something, and you can relate to it. It changed you. And so I had a surreal little moment about 2 months ago. My grandfather turned 90. We had a birthday party for him. A couple weekends later, my grand uncle on my mom's side also turned 90. So I'm at the birthday party for him. So I'm at this party. My grand uncle's there. My grandfather's there. It's like both sides of my family. These dudes are 90. We're celebrating life. At the same time, I'm on the corner talking to my cousin Kyle, because he lost his mom recently. And we're having this little personal moment. We're just talking about how numb we sometimes feel, how the smile don't feel the same, how like we know we want to be in the moment, but there's just a piece that's missing from us. But then also how beautiful it is with all the love that came about from this loss. So even in this moment when we're celebrating, and my cousin who I'm talking to, this is his father's birthday party we're at. So we're at this beautiful moment, but at the same time, the reality of what we're going through personally and just trying to be there for each other. Just, a little hug. Is like, it's beautiful, but it's the weird, surreal dynamic we have now, because it's involving death. And it's like...
And we need to have those conversations with each other, kind of prepare for each other. Because even I even speak about my friend, because even his death, I was prepared for it because I seen it coming.
I gotta stop
but even
there.
being prepared for it.
Were you prepared for it, or did you think you were prepared for it?
I thought I was.
Because it's a big difference. Like I said, my pop, we knew that we had a timeline. I'm still not, like, I'm still shocked.
Yeah, like in my mind, I thought I was going, like, even when I found out the news, I thought I was going to handle it a lot better, like, than I did. And like I had this idea of, like, when I was going to hear the news, how I was going to react.
Right?
And nothing like I thought.
I got you back. I'm going to hold you down. Bro, I was in shock. I was hyperventilating. I was like, I couldn't call nobody. I couldn't. My thumbs turned. I was like, what do I do?
Dude, the tears started the minute I walked through the door, like, and I seen his uncle seeing me. Both of us just started bawling out. I was just like, I couldn't even make it upstairs. Like, so tears was already down my face.
I was stunned. And then I literally, like, the longest, probably 13 steps of my life to walk up the stairs to tell my uncle. I didn't want to wake my grandfather sleeping in the room across from my father who just passed away. I'm like, I can't be too loud. I want to cry and wail. You know what I'm saying? And at the same time, I don't even have the ability to do that. Like nothing is physically connecting or registering. I'm like an autopilot. I'm hyperventilating. I get to the stairs. I'm like, Uncle Phil, I think, and he can hear it. He goes, I'm on the way. I'm on the way right now. I had to stay out the room when he went in there to confirm for himself. Then it took me like 45 minutes making phone calls to call the hospice so they could send somebody out to confirm it before I could go back in the room. And then when I went back in the room, he was still warm. So I climbed into bed and gave him a hug. And then I just broke down. Yeah. And so for me, I didn't know what else to do. So my uncle gave me a moment, and then I didn't even get myself together. I took my little moment. Then I walked out back. I had the shakiest port of my life. And I was just frazzled, for lack of a better phrase. So then at that point, my uncle, he got a little level-headed. He's like, all right, we need to call everybody. I'm looking at my phone like, bro, it's 4 o'clock in the morning. I don't want to ruin nobody's day. I'm like, my day is ruined already, but I'm trying to wait. He's like, no, we need to call everybody because if they need to take time off, they need to know now. And I was like, you're right. So he calls. Then after he makes the phone calls, I called my brother. That's the only person I called. I did call him. So after we make all the phone calls, I'm still sitting there like I'm sparking up another port. Like, I can't believe this shit happened. It's real now. Boy shows up from hospice to confirm it. Very nice guy from Penn Hospice. All love to them. And he's looking at us like, do you guys know? And it's a little funny because he's definitely into like it's 4 o'clock in the morning voice, but we're trying to have a real conversation. Do you have your funeral home and all that? I'm like, yeah, we got all that. We needed the confirmation before we make the call. He's like, yeah, I'll take care of that. And then the next 3 hours just don't exist in my brain. Like just flat out gone. And then it's like I hear a knock at the door. I look over. It's like, oh, time passed. What just happened? Open the door. Let the people in from a Sabin funeral home. That's the fam. They go through the whole process. And then from there, I'm just numb. So then I come back to the crib. My little cousin here, he was staying here. My pop took his room. It's like a switch. So I'm looking at him. He started crying. So then it's weird because in these moments when you know how sad you are, the little bit of happiness is a little like greater. And it's weird how it happens. So I'm sitting in my pop's kitchen holding my little cousin. And then he's crying in my chest. And then I start laughing. And he's like, you good? I was like, yeah, I was just doing the same thing with your pop in Pop-Pop's kitchen. Right. That's exactly when I laugh. It's like, as crazy as this is, this like circular type of life we live, it really will display itself for you in a beautiful way. And then from there, bro, it's like we said, like you just going through it. Like your mind is scattered. You got enough energy to be aware, but not enough attention to really get stuff going. And then all the love starts to pour in, and then just like you're still stunned. You know what I'm saying? And then like, yeah. And then I know for you, in that moment where you and when his uncle saw each other, there's a release there, but it's the saddest release you'll get because I don't think I had my crazy cry until I saw my fellas, and it was after I saw my fellas when I was in the car by myself.
Well, I had a worse one.
No, I'm saying
after I seen them
right away. It was like maybe a couple days later after like the reality set in. I'm lying. I know exactly when it was.
Ooh.
It was when I had to go to the funeral home to start the paperwork. I'm sitting in the car afterwards, and it all hit me. And I was like, I don't even want to. Yeah, I was like, I don't even want to go. I should drive, see where I go. So right at that moment where I'm thinking that I get a call about something I got to take care of. It's like I don't even got the moment to really let it out. And I appreciated that at the same time because that got me back to doing the things I need to do to get my energy right. Or better, because it still ain't right.
I understand that. See, I had a moment similar to that, but for me, it was probably like a couple months after my friend died. And I don't know really what sparked it. I just remember I was like sitting down in the living room watching the episode of Grey's Anatomy. And it really was like one of the sweetest scenes happening. Like somebody was getting married, but for some reason,
so like afterwards, my nephew drew a cute photo and he included like Pop Pop, but like that's my Pop, but he's above everybody now. Like he's in heaven. At least that's how I interpreted it. That destroyed me. And I was like, this should not be hitting me as hard. Like when he's got photos, he'll color stuff, and we'll do a FaceTime. I'll be like, screenshot. I'm sitting there. I'm like, why am I crying so hard? Where is this intensity coming? I had to stop and be like, I hadn't got it out yet. Like when you go and get,
That's real. That's where I was at, because I was watching the show. They was literally having a marriage. I mean, a wedding at the time. Good moment,
like,
but
and you're
I'm
not
just like
balling because you're so
bawling, like
excited. You are
tears just
going.
falling down my eyes. I'm like, what's going on?
I
Like,
can't control myself, yo.
and like it would
It's
not
like
stop.
you get
Like,
to the point where the craziest part is like halfway through that super intense cry, where you're kind of just giving up to letting it happen. You feel better. You don't fully get it.
yeah, it felt like a whole weight was lifted off me. Like I ain't even know it was so heavy on me until like it was gone, and I was like, damn, I feel like I
Yeah,
can
and with that,
relax
I'm gonna go
now.
to
Like,
something I said earlier,
yeah,
because that's you getting back to being the better you, and versus trying to make a new norm, right? Like, no, there's a part of you that still got to be you before you get to that. What do I do? So that's a good release. It really does change how things affect you, you know? Because like you said, you're watching a marriage on Grey's Anatomy, and it's probably like it's probably not only is it a
yeah,
sweet scene, it's probably a simple scene too. Like they ain't got no crazy stuff going on, no
yeah.
sirens. Yeah,
Was no extra dramatics. Like the guy literally was getting married by writing on a post-it by
yeah.
saying we're
And
married.
you sitting there like you
That
just
was
saw
like,
somebody get their head ripped off, like your favorite character died. Why? Like this is a good moment.
and I'm like bawling
Yeah,
hard, and I'm like wiping it, like I'm trying to stop it. I'm just like, what's
can't do
going
nothing
on?
about it.
Like, yeah. I just like, I was just like threw up my hands. I just let it all
And
come
you're
out.
better off for
I
it.
was like, shh,
Yeah,
this just deeper than the episode.
and that's the crazy part. Because I think the other thing, going back to the interview that sparked this conversation, is recognizing my own emotions and being more intentional in trying to navigate them. Like I was always cool with
Yeah,
just, oh, y'all doing this in the crib, I'm going upstairs in my room to chill. Don't take it personal, y'all. I'm a little more introverted than y'all realize. Like I need my me time. But after going through this, now I'm just like, nope, just me time. I ain't going to that. Or if I say I'm going to something, I'm there because it's important, you know. I want to.
you reminded me a lot of me
It's
right now. Say what you just said in
yeah,
that last minute.
it's a
Like
process
that's so
everybody
me.
should hopefully go through without it being related to death. But when you go through a situation like this, because even though we didn't talk, we try to keep this conversation positive, I'll say there are some negative things that come about transitions. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Especially when people think there might be money or property or whatever involved. We ain't getting on any of that. Yeah,
That's the ugly side of death. Even the funeral process
or
and
just the
how much
actual
it costs
service.
to
If they
bury
got their own
somebody. Like
request
that's
and they,
it's,
my sibling told me this, my sibling told me that. It's like, well,
I want this preacher
yeah,
to say the
like we ain't
eulogy.
into it. We only talking about the changes and the positive. So even in that regard, those changes are so subtle at first. It's like you said, you don't know what triggered that super cry you needed. But because of how you've been paying attention to yourself and you realize like, oh no, this is something I need. You go through with it and you feel better off afterwards. And throughout the process, like when we're being retrospective of those memories and recalling all these things, we're also being introspective because I know for myself, there's some moments where you look at people differently now because of how amazing they were through the process. And it's like,
Yeah. And I look at
yeah,
some
like
people
I said, we
differently
leave the
because of
negative with the
how
negative.
un
So,
yeah,
yeah, but from that though,
you know,
I got a
like
greater
it was
appreciation for what I consider love to be and for how I need to love myself, which
yeah.
also goes back into the emotional part. Because now it's like I can't if I don't have the energy or capacity because I ignored something, that's my fault. Now, if I'm just drained from the day and somebody hits you with some BS, they don't have to understand. But if it's like I didn't do the things I needed to do during the week, knowing that this Saturday we got an intense emotional thing going on. That's on me. And just being more conscious of that, how I invest my energy and my time in myself. Because ultimately, like I said, the biggest thing for me and my pop is that I was like, hey, there's no tomorrow guaranteed. You just want to be in the best position you can be. And then with a bunch of this stuff, it really is like proper preparation. And that's what you want to do.
Yeah.
Especially if you want to be happy and enjoy time with people. Yeah.
I know you better be prepared, or at least get something in order.
Because it's coming for you. Yeah.
That's the main thing. At least get a will in order. Like that's been my my next thing on my
First off,
to-do
get your
list.
will in order. Secondly, if you own property, put your beneficiaries on your property. That'll help with the process post transition, and it'll save them money because they don't have to inherit through inheritance tax. They're already on there. Third, if you have anything else that involves outside parties like a car or insurance, you can put them on there too. And make sure you do these things so that when it comes time for transition, they aren't hit with this burden of unexpected gains without the ability to afford them. One of the things people don't realize is if you properly get your kids on your mortgage or your crib, they don't have to pay for it. But if you don't do that, they're going to have to pay 4.75% on the inheritance tax, which isn't a bad thing if they're selling the crib. But if they're staying there, they still got to pay that.
Yeah, which is a big hit, when they're already losing you too. And you still got to pay the switch the names into your name, get all that.
Things.
Yeah, that killed my. That was like a big burden on my mom. Like that became a big burden on me because, like, honestly, going through that process opened my eyes up to like the home buying process, and like when I need to get my affairs in order so I can own a home. So like
first home. But even with that, it's like you said, it's the process. You see all this paperwork and you see how easy it could have been if the paperwork was in order. And I think that's the other thing that we don't necessarily appreciate until we got to go through it, right? Paperwork can be a problem, but if it's done the right way, it's just some formalities. And that's the other thing about the preparation. You want to put your people in place for them to go through the formalities. Like, we didn't do a funeral. My pop didn't want a funeral. We did a memorial service because we got him cremated. But in essence, that was almost a formality because we knew way ahead of time what he wanted to do. He was in the military, and all his military buddies are like, yeah, we all getting cremated. Them and their partners. Like, no, we getting cremated. I was like, y'all know. And it was just like, it's just easier. We like, fair enough. But other things can become a formality if you handle your paperwork too in a way that's beneficial for everybody. Like we're talking about with the crib, with the cars, if you got a little money saved, put that all in order. Get your will in order, just so you can't have people contesting it. Like, that makes a huge difference.
Right. And you can actually have a say in who gets what if it's important to you.
Make sure you name everybody you're supposed to, because even if you don't like one of your children, which that could happen, you gotta give them $1. If you don't give them $1 and they left out, they can contest it. If they in there for $1, it's spiteful and it's petty, but that's how you protect your assets. And unfortunately, the other part about death is what happens with those assets. Weirdly enough.
Yeah. I know that's another conversation. Yeah, that's perfect. They'll kind of wrap up things because we had the hour mark.
Another hour flew by. This is easy work.
I know. I told you it go by so fast. It
also helps when we talking to the fam, right? Like, I feel like we could talk for whatever amount of time.
Yeah.
So I always appreciate it.
Oh yeah. That's the guy.
PVM Nation.
Oh yeah. Did you? Before we get up out of here, you want to leave any lasting words for the episode, though?
Life is beautiful. Make the most of it with the people you care the most about, and you won't go wrong. And secondly, Dash is going to repost the link to the t-shirts. Get that PVM gear in your life. Support the brand. Support the bros. Still trying to grow it.
That's a fact. The link is available. I will be sending it out. I'm going to start sending it out from the PVM account so you guys know exactly what it is as well. Also, make sure y'all subscribe to the YouTube channel and the Patreon channel at
Yeah,
Positive
the likes
Vibes
and the
Maybe for both
subscribe,
of
show
them.
the love, share it with your people. Yeah.
Right?
And
Do
tune in on
all that.
Sunday.
Do all that. You know, that's well, we got a special guest coming in on Sunday too. You know, a young lady by the name of Jen. You know, she actually does a platform where she gives on social media every Tuesday, where she gives light to poets, rappers, singers, artists of all life. You know, and they kind of perform on her live. You know, so it's pretty good. So guys, if you aren't doing that on Tuesday nights, tap into that.
Yeah.
I'm start
So
sharing her
check,
page
because we're
from
going to have two
PVM
things
Fam.
coming up for y'all: the merch and the next guest. We love y'all.
That's what's up. Yeah, y'all enjoy y'all night. You know, enjoy y'all vices. Stay safe, stay blessed, stay prayed up,
Yeah.
stay loved up. You know, and buy
All
you the
right. Love you,
time you
bro. I got
share
to
with
see
your
you in
loved
person
ones
soon
too.
because, we ain't kicked it in a minute.
I
But we'll
know
figure
that's a
it out.
fact. We do gotta link up in person. We, yeah. I know, cause I gotta call up Chef too, cause I ain't see his ass in
No,
a minute
man.
too.
Like,
Like,
since we officially over, Cat's been busy. You know how that end of that summer into the fall. And then with the weather being the way it is, this last 2 weeks just flew by for me.
I know.
Yeah.
It's been work home, like, or errands, especially with the
Yeah.
rain. I'll just be like, you know what? As little as I got spent
Yeah.
out there, I'm trying to, you
But
know.
oh
But
no,
we
we'll
all
make it
definitely
happen.
need to
We'll
link
make it
up
happen.
though
Yeah.
soon, though. Before it gets too
But all
cold.
right, bro. Love you. See you next week. If I don't see you before then in person, but hopefully see you in person before then.
That's a fact.
Yeah.
I'll see you before in person too. You know. Stay safe. I love you.
Oh, of course.
Thank you for coming up here tonight. I see you next week. Well, I'm gonna see
We'll
you
see
before then, but
y'all
if I
next week
don't,
together
I
on
see you
here.
next Wednesday.
Put it like that.
Right. Oh man. All right, guys. Y'all stay safe. We out.